Hello and welcome to another Writerly Witterings. And today I've got to start off with saying thank you. Now there's been a fair few people in the last 2 years or so really who have been incredibly generous and sent me loads of things to review. One guy from the West Coast sent me a load of notebooks, which was fantastic, and I'm still going through them, and every now and again I still review one or two. And then there's been the excessively generous chap who built me my own keyboard, which comes in 2 halves, and it means that I can type with my wrist straight, which means far less risk of RSI, which I have had on occasion in the past. The trouble with typing 3 books a year is that when you're bending your wrists to cope with a flat typewriter, it does eventually have an impact because your tendons are going straight and then bent. So anyway, thanks a lot for that. And then there have been some fabulous people this year who've sent me vast quantities, really vast quantities of pencils, and people who have sent me pens, and people who have sent me notebook covers, and looking through the stuff I've got here, notebook covers, even a fabulous knife, which I will be talking about, but not until the new year. Just so many things have been sent through. And then last week, someone sent me through another damn great box full of things. It had pencils, it had pencil sharpeners, it had pens, it had biros, it had just a huge quantity of stuff. And so today I'm going to go through one of those items, the first one that I've really been making a lot of use of. What is it? It is this wonderful Opus 88 Demonstrator. So let's have a look at it. So here we are with an Opus 88 absolutely glorious pen. And usually when you get an Opus, they come in very nice packaging. So here's one that another very generous person sent to me a couple of years ago. Opus 88, fine writing instrument. I'm just going to make sure this doesn't get knocked over, because I am prone to knocking cups of tea over, as people have seen. So when you open it, you get the Opus pen itself and an eyedropper. Now the reason for that is that Opus pens are quite unique. No, they're unique in their operation in that they tend to manufacture pens that don't take standard ink cartridges or cartridge converters. Instead, they have the whole of this barrel as a reservoir, and you turn the screw at the back and that brings this plug down. Now you can fill that from the eyedropper with any type of ink you want, just keep it all going, and it takes a large quantity of ink. Now the point of this internal part is, you can see here that the end of this section is sort of ground conical, if I can put it like that. And in the top here, you've got a rubber bung. What that means is that when you've got this full of ink, and you've got the section screwed in, if you screw this all the way up, you lock all the ink from this barrel out of the top section. Now that's an advantage, because if you had a pen on its side or upside down and there's a change of pressure, for example, and there's a little bit of air in here, so if you're in an aeroplane, something like that, then the air can expand with the change in pressure and push the ink straight out, which means you get a filthy pocket. But of course, if there's no ink getting through the feed, you can't write. So before you write, you have to just loosen off the back so that you can write with it. That is the Opus type of design. Now I love this pen. It writes superbly, and I think the looks are appealing because they're different. But let's have a look at this newer style pen. Now, this is a different sized pen. It is considerably larger, and I think it's even more beautiful. Pens' beauty is very much in the eye of the beholder, obviously, but I think these really are stunning. I've always loved demonstrators. I like seeing ink sloshing around there. Apologies, I've just had a slight delay because I had to go and get my booster jab, so that shoulder is painful. No, it's not actually, it's perfectly alright. So, anyway, here we have the Opus 88. I think it's beautiful. It has parallel sides to the cap, parallel sides to the barrel as well. I would say that the end cap just continues on. It doesn't seem to chamfer down or anything, whereas on the cap it does definitely narrow at the very top compared to the barrel itself. The very top of the cap is just smoothly polished across, as is the bottom of the blind cap. Has a clip, and the clip is a very robust one. It works particularly well on shirts and so on. I never have the feeling that this pen's going to fall out of my pocket. It has quite a slow approach to opening because, let's just see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 half turns, 3 complete rotations to open the pen. But as you all know, if you watch my videos, I am usually very keen on fast pen releases. The Viscontis are ideal because they're just about a quarter turn and they're open. But when you've got a pen that has this quantity of ink in it, having a slower approach to opening it does make a lot of sense, because if it was to unscrew in your pocket, there would be a lot of ink to come out. So, in terms of writing on the pen, the only writing I can see on the cap or the main pen is Opus 88, which is in black ink, which matches the black metal of the clip itself. So, unscrewing it, we have a nice steel nib, and I have to admit it writes superbly well. On it just says Opus 88, and then there's a tiny M down here. If the camera can focus, you can just see a mark there. That M for medium. Some delicate scroll work around it, which is nice, just makes it look good. I do love demonstrator pens, I always have, and this to me is a superb example. Now again, like the blue Opus 88 I showed you a moment or two ago, if you want to start writing with it, you can. There's a bit of ink left in the feed and so on from the last time I used it, but for extensive writing you need to unscrew this, and that releases the lock on the ink flow here so that you can write much longer pieces. I've been using this now for over a week and there's been absolutely no bad starting or anything at all, really. It is a lovely smooth writer. I really loved the size and the weight. I'm not absolutely convinced of eyedroppers as an approach to using pens, because there's always the risk that you can make an awful lot of mess on your desk. But this one, as you can see, is a very well behaved one. So you can see just how big that reservoir is. It's a massive amount of ink that it holds. And a nice touch is it has an O-ring at the top So it's not just relying on silicone sealant, it's got an O-ring to stop any leakage, which is a reassuring sign, I think. So I love the looks, I love the feel, I really like the fact it holds a huge amount of ink. I love the view of the ink through the barrel. I like the cap, with the proviso that it takes an awfully long time to take the cap off and put it on again. But as I said, that I think is a benefit anyway, because it does mean that it's less likely to come adrift from the cap, which does happen with a lot of pens, and then pour ink all over your suit. I once had that with some black ink in a cross pen that undid itself when I was at a black tie do. Luckily, the black ink stayed in the black jacket and no one noticed. Not even me until a bit later when I realised that the bottom of the pen had come adrift. But there you go. The Opus 88. To my mind, the very best demonstrator I've ever used. What a lovely pen. It may only be 32 grams in total, or 21 grams for a full-bodied pen, but it feels much more than that in the hand. It's got a glorious feel to it. Now, rather than talk about all the things which I like about it, I'll start off with the things I don't like. That very lengthy approach to opening it, that's a bit of a pain. That's not so good. But having mentioned that one thing, what do I actually like about it? Well, basically I love it. I really, really love it. This is not a pen I would be taking out regularly, because I'd be petrified of that lovely shiny acrylic getting scratched. But I love demonstrator pens. I love being able to see the ink sloshing around inside there. I like this one because the nib is very attractive and you can see it through the cap itself. I love the fact that the acrylic at the very top and the blind cap are both just clear, immaculate acrylic. They must have spent some time trying to find something that will work perfectly there. I love the fact that this is now so smooth, but it's so smooth because when I first received it, it was squeaky and that was irritating. So I put a little bit of silicone grease in there to just make it that bit better. And it worked superbly. Just getting all the ink out of the top if I can. Now, as I said at the beginning, I'm inordinately grateful to the people here and on Patreon who send items in for me to test, because without you I wouldn't have a video channel here, because I can't afford to keep spending out good money on pens myself. So again, I'm very, very grateful to the generosity of people who have supplied this pen and a lot of other pens in recent months. Here's another one that's just come through. This will be reviewed shortly. And this one. And several others. But it's important, I think, just to say thanks, because all too often I think I just witter on about my pens and inks, and I wouldn't be able to be here wittering if it wasn't for the guys sending stuff in. So thanks very much for that. Especially for this, which is the current pen that I go to every single day. In fact, my two favourite pens right now are this little Visconti, the Breeze, and the Opus 88. The Breeze has a fabulous nib, the 88 has a fabulous nib. These are the two pens that are constantly in my pocket right now. And I've got a lot of things to do with them. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope that was interesting. Do please let me know if you've got any questions or other ideas, and I'll be happy to speak to you about them. I also want to say thanks to all the wonderful people in the Pen Pals Club. If you want to join that, write to me at the email address below. But the Pen Pals Club seems to be going from strength to strength right now. which means I'm way behind with all the letters I've got to write. Hey ho. Now, don't forget, if you like the channel and you want to help support it, you can go to Patreon, you can go to the PayPal link at the bottom, all that sort of stuff. Don't forget to like it and share it, and if you haven't already, please subscribe because that helps with the income as well, and then hit the bell button because you get notified when there's a new video, and all that good old stuff. And that's about it for now. It is today, the 1st of December. I've just had my booster jab. Feels all right, no bruises, no problems, so that's nice. Whether I feel all right tomorrow, of course, is a different matter. But keep healthy, keep safe, and thanks a lot for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.